Not because she wanted attention. She never did, but because she carried herself the way people notice without knowing why. Calm, balanced, a quiet storm wrapped in a gentle face. Her name was Maya, though almost no one in this town knew it. She preferred it that way. She had come here for peace, not recognition. The bar was dim, washed in amber light, the kind that made shadows dance on wooden walls. Outside, winter winds pushed against the small mountain town tavern, making it feel like the only warm place left in the world. Maya just wanted a cup of coffee, maybe a few minutes of stillness. She had seen more chaos than most people could imagine, missions she could never talk about, sacrifices she never wanted thanked for. All she desired now was quiet. But quiet has a way of running from people like her. A group of soldiers sat near the back, fresh recruits by the look of their posture, their youthful energy leaking into every loud laugh and careless shove. They were proud, confident, maybe too confident. And when Maya passed their table, they caught sight of her. Not really her, but the aura she carried. The kind of presence only someone who's been through battles, inside and out, could have. "Hey, you look like you're in the wrong place," one of them called out, just loud enough for the room to fall silent. Maya didn't stop, didn't flinch. She simply made her way to the counter, nodded politely at the bartender, and ordered her coffee. She knew confrontation when she saw it. She also knew fear, insecurity, and the need to prove oneself, things she'd once wrestled with herself. Young soldiers sometimes bark the loudest when they feel the most doubt. But they weren't done. Before she even wrapped her hands around the warm mug, boots circled behind her. 4 soldiers, strong, tall, trying hard to appear larger than they felt inside. "Don't think you'll escape," another one said, half joking, half trying to sound dangerous. "We're just trying to get to know you." Maya turned slowly, her face soft, composed. If calm had a shape, it was her. "I'm not trying to escape," she said gently. "I'm just having coffee." Her voice wasn't defensive, it wasn't afraid, it was steady enough to unsettle them. "Where you from?" one asked. "You military. You move like someone who's been trained." The bartender watched nervously, but Maya gave him a tiny nod. She had it under control. "You could say I've spent a lot of time learning how to stay calm," she replied. The soldiers exchanged looks. Her poise irritated them. They wanted her rattled. They wanted to feel powerful. But all they felt was uncertain. The tallest one stepped closer. "Calm won't help you now. You're surrounded." The bar went quiet again. A cold silence that stretched thin in the air. A moment that could turn dangerous, if not handled with care. And then she smiled. It wasn't a smirk or a challenge. It was soft, almost sad. The smile of someone who understood people more deeply than they understood themselves. "I know," she said. "But you're not my enemy." Her words hit them harder than a punch. They expected fear, resistance, anything but compassion. The tallest soldier frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," she said, holding her coffee gently, "I've been where you are. Young, trying to prove something, wanting the world to see strength even on the days you don't feel it. I know that weight. I carried it for years." Her tone softened even more. "And I also know the cost when you let pride speak louder than your heart." Something cracked in their expressions. Confusion, curiosity, a hint of shame. But one soldier wasn't ready to back down. He stepped closer, puffing his chest. "And what makes you think you know anything about us?" Maya looked at him with an understanding that disarmed all aggression. "Because I was a SEAL for 12 years. The bar erupted into quiet gasps. The recruits froze, their bravado crumbling instantly. A woman, a SEAL. The realization hit them like a shockwave. But Maya didn't stand taller. She didn't boast. She didn't show authority even though she easily could have. She simply let the truth sit there between them, not as a weapon, but as a moment of clarity. The soldier who had stepped closest swallowed hard. "You're lying." She shook her head softly. "I have nothing to prove by lying. Peace is all I want now." Silence returned, heavier and more honest than before. One of the younger soldiers, barely 20, with worry hiding behind his eyes, took a step forward. His voice cracked slightly. "If you're really a SEAL, how did you stay calm just now? Weren't you angry?" Maya looked at him with the kind of kindness that felt like a hand on the shoulder. Anger doesn't make you stronger, she said quietly. Understanding does. When you see someone through the lens of fear, you only react. But when you see them through the lens of empathy, you respond. That's the real strength, and it's something the best soldiers learn, sooner or later. The boys listened now, not as challengers, but as students, absorbing every word. She set down her coffee and gently motioned for them to sit with her. Surprised, they followed. What began as a confrontation slowly turned into a circle of openness. The recruits confessed more than they expected to. Fear of failure, pressure from families, worry about not being strong enough, the loneliness that sometimes came with trying to be brave. And Maya listened, not with judgment, but with the steady patience of someone who understood the burden of carrying unspoken stories. You know, she said softly, strength isn't tested when things are easy. It's tested when you choose kindness even when you're hurting, when you choose discipline even when you feel like giving up. The youngest soldier wiped his eyes quickly, embarrassed. Maya pretended not to notice, giving him dignity. Sometimes, she continued, the toughest battles are the ones inside us. And you don't win them by being louder, you win them by being honest. By letting yourself be human. The tallest soldier, the one who had first confronted her, looked down at his hands. His voice broke slightly when he spoke. I'm sorry, we shouldn't have approached you like that. She nodded. Thank you. That means more than you know. And then, like a string pulled too tight finally loosening, the tension in the room melted. The bartender exhaled. The atmosphere warmed again, but the moment didn't end there. Because one soldier, the quiet one with haunted eyes, finally spoke. I lost my brother overseas, he whispered. I joined to honor him, but some days I feel like I'm drowning inside. And when I saw you, something about the way you carried yourself made me feel small. Like I'd never be good enough. Maya reached across the table and placed her hand lightly over his. Your brother would be proud of you, she said, her voice gentle but firm. Not because of how strong you pretend to be, but because of how deeply you feel. Compassion isn't weakness, it's what keeps you human when war tries to turn you into someone else. His eyes filled, and for a moment, he let the tears fall, safe, unashamed. Maya continued, being a SEAL didn't make me fearless. It made me responsible, for the energy I bring into every room, every mission, every moment. Strength isn't about overpowering others, it's about protecting the goodness in yourself. The soldiers hung on to every word. And if you ever want to honor someone you lost, she added softly, live in a way that reflects the best parts of them, courage, kindness, integrity. That's the legacy that matters. The quiet soldier nodded through tears. Something inside him had shifted, something he'd been carrying alone for too long. And in that warm, wooden bar, surrounded by recruits who had once cornered her, Maya created something rare, a moment of transformation. A moment where fear softened, pride dissolved, and humanity rose quietly to the surface. They talked for nearly an hour, about resilience, choices, and the power of staying calm in the storms life throws at you. No lectures, no judgment, just truth shared from one soul to others. When Maya finally stood to leave, the soldiers rose with her, not in fear, but in respect. Thank you, the youngest one said. For everything. She smiled, that same warm, gentle smile she had worn from the start. Take care of each other, she said. That's the real mission. As she walked out into the cold night, the wind felt softer, almost approving. The recruits watched her go, not as the woman they had tried to intimidate, but as the mentor they had desperately needed without knowing it. They didn't just see a SEAL. They saw courage wrapped in compassion, strength rooted in understanding, a reminder that real warriors aren't defined by how loudly they stand, but by how quietly they uplift others. Inside the bar, the recruits sat again, changed in ways they couldn't fully explain. The quiet soldier looked at the empty doorway and whispered, she stayed calm, because she was the real SEAL. But deep down, they all understood something even greater. She stayed calm not because of her training, though that helped, but because she carried a heart disciplined by hardship, softened by empathy, and strengthened by the belief that kindness, even in moments of danger, could change the world. And that night, in a small mountain town bar, it did.